Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So hello everyone, my name is Farnaz. I'm a fourth year PhD student. It is my pleasure to present my work with my advisor, Dr. Yildirim and Drs. Bean and Wang. Today I'm going to talk about how we can use sensor information to improve maintenance and operations decisions in a microgrid setting. So here is the agenda of my talk. So I'll start with a brief introduction, talk about the current practice and motivations behind our approach. Then I'll explain the modeling and solution methodology very briefly. And at the end, through a set of experiments, I'll show how I'll show the value of using sensor information in improving different operational aspects of the system. So what is a microgrid? In contrast to the main grid, microgrid are low voltage systems. They have distributed energy resources, energy storage devices, and elastic local load. The distributed energy resources, or DRs in brief, are either renewable like wind turbines and photovoltaics, or non-renewable like small diesel generators. Managing of these units in a microgrid setting has some unique challenges. Microgrids are responsible for controlling these different units as well as satisfying different local requirements, continuous power transactions with the grid or neighboring microgrids if necessary, and are working under a high level of uncertainty that is coming from these renewable resources as well as demand and market prices. Because of all these operational complexity, maintenance management has a higher impact on microgrid operations. For example, frequent unnecessary maintenances or failures can hit this system much harsher in comparison to other systems. As a result, if we can somehow gather some information about the failure risks of the asset, we can proactively and jointly schedule maintenance and operations ahead of time and improve the system's operation by quite much. Sensor-driven maintenance approaches provide the failure predictions and failure risks of the units in the future. As a result, we can minimize the total cost of the system by reducing unnecessary maintenances and extending the equipment lifetime as well. We can improve the reliability of the system by reducing unexpected failures, and as a result, we can improve the resilient performance of the system by reducing the consequence of sudden interruptions like failures, for example. So here is our main agenda or main goal. We are going to use sensor information to jointly schedule maintenance and operations in this type of system. So before going to and talking about the main methodology, I want to just give you some information about the some basic concepts. So the degradation, unit's state of health degrades over time. Any generation units, for example, even like your mobile phone, the performance degrades over time. We can use sensor information to track and predict the degradation process of the unit. How we can do that? Let's take a look at this simple example. Here we monitor the vibration of a device, and vibration is one of the indicators that the device is something is going on in that device. So over a lifetime of the device, as you see, the vibration of the device increases, meaning that there are something going on that device. By measuring such indicator parameters, we can extract the degradation signal of the unit. And over the lifetime of the device, this degradation severity increases until it crosses a predetermined and industrial approved failure threshold. At this point, we assume that the device is failed actually. So the goal here is to, first of all, model this degradation signal and then use as accurate as possible, and then use that model to predict the time that in the future this degradation signal hits the failure threshold, which is the failure time of the unit. So this is what we are going to do in the next step. There are different ways to model the degradation of a unit. Here we are using a continuous time, continuous state stochastic function. D represents the degradation of unit I in microgrid M, which is from type A, type J. The type index represents whether the unit is wind turbine, photovoltaics, or just a simple generator. The degradation signal is the summation of two terms, a parametric degradation function H and an stochastic term epsilon, which captures the measurement errors. This parametric degradation function has two types of parameters, a deterministic parameter kappa and a stochastic parameter phi. We assume that kappa is known and constant. On the other hand, the stochastic parameter is unknown, but it follows some sort of distributional form, like normal distribution in some of the devices. Through historical data, we can get, and the other assumption is that we know this deterministic parameter, but the stochastic parameter is unknown. We don't know that. So through some historical data, we can obtain some initial estimation of this stochastic degradation parameter distribution, which we call P. And we just name the failure threshold of this unit theta. Then the next challenge is to use sensor information to update the initial estimation of this stochastic degradation parameter. Remember that at the very first beginning, we had a degradation model, but we are using historical data and come up with some initial estimation for this stochastic degradation parameter. But as we collect more and more information, we can update this stochastic degradation parameter distribution to have a more accurate degradation model, so we can predict the failure time of the unit much more accurately. So this is the next challenge that we are dealing with. So this is the general framework of our model. We modeled the degradation of the unit. We got new sensor observation. In the next step, we will update the degradation parameter distribution, get a better degradation model, more accurate model, and then evaluate and calculate the remaining life or failure time of our unit. So let's say that we collect some sensor information like D here, and we get the initial estimation of our stochastic degradation parameter P. Then we can find the posterior distribution, which we call P tilde, using this Bayesian updating procedure, which for the sake of time, I'm not explaining in detail. Having this updated posterior distribution parameter, we can evaluate the remaining life of the unit. We define the remaining life of the unit as the first time that the degradation of the unit crosses the failure threshold that we determine in the future. So given the updated stochastic degradation parameter, we can calculate the remaining life of the unit and then use it in our framework. So, but how? Well, we have the sensor-driven prediction of the failure probability of the unit, but how we can feed this information into our optimization model. There are different ways to do that. Here, we are feeding the information in terms of cost into our objective function. We are calculating the expected cost of conducting maintenance for the unit, T time periods after our observation time, using this formula. This formula calculates the trade-off between conducting a preventive maintenance if the unit is operational or a corrective maintenance if the unit is failed, by using the corresponding failure probabilities that we just calculated. The nice thing about this expected maintenance cost is its capability to adapt to sensor information, because whenever we get a new sensor, we can update that degradation parameter, recalculate the remaining life, and just feed it into this cost function and re-optimize our maintenance and operations schedule based on the newly received sensor information. So in the next step, I show how we use this dynamic maintenance cost that has critical information about the unit's state of health into our maintenance and operations scheduling model. Here is a very condensed form of our mathematical model. We have Z, X, and Y represent our decision variables. Z is maintenance-related decision variables. X is unit commitment decision variables, and Y is represents the load curtailment and generation decision variables. The objective is to minimize the maintenance cost plus the expected operational cost. The maintenance cost includes the dynamic maintenance cost of the operational unit, the corrective maintenance cost of the failed unit, and the crew deployment cost. And the operational cost includes the production cost of non-renewable units because the renewable does not have really production cost. It's a free energy, right? It also has per transaction cost and load curtailment cost, and this objective function is subjected to maintenance constraints, coupling constraints, and operational and market constraints. The maintenance constraints guarantee that an operational unit goes under preventive maintenance while a failed unit goes under corrective maintenance. The coupling constraint couples the maintenance and operational decisions. So it makes sure if a unit is under maintenance, it cannot produce energy. Or if a unit is failed, it cannot produce energy until it will, correctively being fixed. Other constraints such as power balance, load management, and storage scheduling are included in the last set of constraints. Unfortunately, based on our results, this model, in most of the real case studies, it was too difficult to solve. So to fix this issue, we reformulate the model as a two-stage model, which we have maintenance decisions in the first stage and operational decisions in the second stage. Then by considering a very small assumption, when the maintenance decision is fixed in the first stage, the operational decision in the second stage becomes independent of each other. So we have much smaller sub-problems and we can solve them quicker and faster. Then in the next step, we develop a two-level algorithm. But to develop the algorithm, we first need to have a continuous recourse. So we relax our sub-problem and then we develop L-shaped optimality costs and integer costs to recover the true cost of our operational model and sort the model in a feasible number of iterations. Then, so the experimental part. In our experiment, we have our test system is two microgrids that are connected to each other and to the grid. The microgrid models are based on an IEEE 14 bus system, but we modified them to include wind turbines, photovoltaics, diesel generators, and batteries. We also use degradation database, real degradation database to mimic the degradation process of wind turbines, diesel generators, and photovoltaics. And we use historical price and operational data to create uncertainty scenarios for demand and market prices. We consider a one-year maintenance planning horizon with weekly maintenance decisions and hourly operational decisions, and we simulate a period of 64 weeks in a rolling horizon fashion and keep track of operational and cost metrics. At the end, we compare the performance of our model with an industry-approved periodic maintenance policy in which there are fixed maintenance time windows. For example, they fix the unit twice a year, every 6 months, based on the manufacturer's recommendation. And this approach is actually, and unfortunately, is the main approach that they are using in industry now. So the first case study compares the performance of our model, which I show by STIOM, with the periodic model. So in terms of the cost, our model could improve the total cost of the system by having a big saving in maintenance and operational costs because we are using sensor information and incorporating that. If we look at the maintenance decision, you see that in terms of the preventive maintenance, both models schedule the same number of preventive maintenances. But our model uses sensor information and has predictions on failure probability of the unit. As a result, the maintenance timing are more accurate, and we could reduce the number of failures in the system by quite a margin, and as a result, we could reduce the number of corrective maintenance costs, the number of corrective maintenances. In terms of power transactions, because our model, in our model, more units are available, so we have more generation, so we can export more power. The microgrids can export more power to the grid, and they can import less power from the grid, so they can work more independently, each of those, and they can provide higher support for the grid. In the second case study, we evaluate the resilience performance of our model in emergency situations. We consider two emergency situations. In the locally connected mode, we assume that due to a sudden interruption, the microgrids lose their connection to the grid, so they have no power transaction with the grid. In the islanded mode, we assume that the microgrids lose their connections totally. So they are islanded totally. They don't have any power transactions with each other and with the grid. And we assume two settings. In the 0 megawatt setting, microgrids has no storage at all. In the 2 megawatt, each of those has 2 megawatt storage capacity. And we define the resilience as the operational cost in the normal mode divided by the operational cost in the emergency mode. So the higher the resilience, the better the performance. So if we look at the performance of our model, in all of those cases, the expected resilience of our system is much higher than its counterpart, both in the locally connected mode and islanded mode. For example, if we compare the locally connected and islanded mode results specifically, we see that the resilience of the system in the islanded mode in both models are lower than the locally connected mode because microgrids has no connection with other entities. But still, the performance of our model is better than the periodic model. And by increasing the storage capacity, we can improve the resilience performance of the models in both maintenance policies, but still the resilience performance of our model, for example, in the islanded mode with no storage capacity, is better than the resilience performance of the periodic model when it has 2 megawatt storage capacity. And here you can see the resilience performance at each time period. The gray dot line represents the performance of our model. The black line represents the performance of the periodic model. So you see that in most cases, in the locally connected mode, we could even keep the resilience performance near 1, which is awesome. But for periodic, in some periods, the resilience performance drops. So at the end, we could build an integration between sensor information and operations and maintenance decisions in a microgrid setting. We show the value of this integration and using sensor information in improving different operational aspects of microgrids, such as reliability, resilience performance, and microgrid contribution to the grid. And we incorporate a wide range of uncertainties for demand, market prices, and operational modes of the microgrids, and we could fix the scalability issue by reformulating the problem and developing solution algorithms to solve large scale cases. Thank you so much, and I would be happy to answer your questions if you have any.
Thank you, Farina. It's very